Hello, everybody. Hi, hi, hello. Wait, wrong one. There we go. I'm back. I'm back. It's true. So I spent a couple days. Yeah, stuff's happened, I guess, huh? We had the Donkey Kong Bonanza Direct, and we had, let's see. I think that was about it. I mean, there was other news, I guess, but really, like, let's be honest here. It's all about that Donkey Kong Bonanza. And of course, the Chrono Odyssey playtest is happening this weekend. It started yesterday. I got the invite, probably this afternoon, but I was about to go to work, so I decided I would download it while I was at work and then come home and stream it tonight. So, don't really have a ton of time this weekend to play it, which kind of stinks, but hopefully this isn't the last of Chrono Odyssey. I would love to have like a longer playtest, but we'll see. I mean, I haven't played it. It could be something I really don't want, but I don't know. Um, yeah, not really seeing much else in the news right now. Just a lot of people talking about the news that's already happening. Oh yeah, this one was kind of hilarious. Hey, Soaring Tales! You went overboard and a half. The PC you were building is done. Awesome, congrats, man. Yeah, for sure. So what'd you put? A 5090? 9800X3D? 128 gigs of RAM? Did you do what this guy did and bought the rights to the Duke Nukem franchise so we can make a TV show? Because that's a franchise that absolutely needs a new show. It's Duke Nukem of all things. I mean, who knows? Maybe Duke Nukem could be done justice in the modern era. I just don't know how you would do it, but yeah. Let's see. There's another beat 'em up from .emu. .emu's been just cranking out the games lately. Oh, that one looks really cool. Not pixel art. That's kind of impressive, actually. Good God. A Ryzen 9 9950X3D, a 9070 XT, 64 gigs of RAM. Damn. Yeah, I'd say. Holy crap. But I mean, I'm gonna be honest, that's pretty awesome. I mean, yeah, you deserve an ovation for that. But your wallet's gonna be crying. Your wallet's definitely gonna be crying. But damn, that'll play pretty much everything on the market. Except for like the really silly stuff that needs like, super duper high, FSR DLSS frame gen to even run. But yeah, that's amazing. Like that's a PC that's gonna last you probably, probably close to 10 years, to be honest, before it really starts. Well, I don't know. It depends. Depends on what we got coming for the next gen. But I can't imagine, given the current rate of technology, that the money you spent on that is going to go to waste within the next 5 years. The 9070 XT, isn't that more like a 5080? Or, well, 4080, I guess you say? I thought it was pretty close specs to like it wavers in between like a 5070 Ti and like a 5080. At least that's kind of how I remembered it. But I do remember it being a pretty sick card. And actually more affordable because it's in stock. At least in America, you know how it goes. But I don't know. I bought my 4070 last year, and I'm pretty happy with it. I don't see myself upgrading for a while. 60 FPS without frame gen on max Cyberpunk settings with ray tracing. Hell yeah. Yeah, Cyberpunk's pretty optimized at this point. I think the really big killer one is if you try to do path tracing, which I don't know why you would at this point. Path tracing is so far down the line, and like probably a RTX what are we at 5090, so a 9090 would probably be able to run games at path tracing without like terrible frame rates. Yeah, at 1440p too, which is pretty impressive. Like no complaints there. Wow. I love how you bought that super high end PC and you were like, let's play Minecraft. I'd be doing the same thing. One of the first things I do whenever I upgrade my PC with like higher end stuff is I bust out emulators and just try out all the emulators to see how well they run. Yeah, but Minecraft modded to look a little bit more like nicer is surprisingly a pretty experience. Like for a game that's basically just a bunch of blocks, I've seen some pretty picturesque like Minecraft visuals. But 430 frames per second in Minecraft is just wild. Only reason you want a PC is because you want to build one. I want to see this paper and go back to a laptop. Really? Hmm. I don't know. I'm of two minds about laptops because, like, on one hand, I love the portability, but on the other hand, um, a lot of them aren't built very well, and they tend to overheat and have just kind of crappy build quality. So, and you can't really repair them very easily anymore. So, once they break, they're kind of broken, which is frustrating. I don't know. I'm more old school with PC building. Like I like building my own stuff and scouting out parts and stuff, but I will admit it's getting harder to do with all of the greed from the companies these days. Everything's just so pricey, just to upgrade. I mean, we live in a world of, $1,000 graphics cards that, aren't really that any better, and in some cases worse than the previous gen, which is just very, very sad to see. Yeah, but I mean, like, being able to just be like, I can play that for pretty much any game that comes out is a really nice feeling. Like I went from a GTX 1070 to a 4070 Super, and man, the difference in quality was pretty staggering. A separate keyboard, yeah, a separate keyboard is pretty awesome. Are you using what kind of keyboard are you using? The new Indiana Jones game. What'd you think of that game? I've seen some streamers play it, but a lot of them kind of bounced off of it. Supposedly it's pretty good though, but I think you really have to like indie to really enjoy it. Corsair K70. Ooh, that's a good keyboard. I used to use Logitech stuff for everything, but their build quality kind of went to crap. Like the last couple of mice I had from Logitech would like double click constantly. And the keyboards were just way really fast. I switched over to Razer, and I've had a Black Widow and a Death Adder for, oh god, probably like 4 or 5 years now, and I've beaten the crap out of these things. It's very durable. Yeah, yeah. The VRAM thing on video cards is really really frustrating. Like I don't know why 8 gigs of RAM shouldn't even be a thing anymore. Like the fact that they're even making video cards with 8 gigs of RAM is just like, no, please stop that. Like, 12 gigs minimum for like the low end cards, and it should be like 24 gigs for anything that's like mid range and higher. Like, being so stingy on VRAM is so frustrating. And the only reason they do that, outside of just trying to get you to upsell, yourself to a higher end card, is because of AI. Because they don't want people who are doing AI development to have access to cheap cards. So it's really, really annoying. But it's just greed. Especially considering like AMD had less on their 9070 than they did on the previous gen. And I'm like, no, 9070 should come with 24. Come on. The T705. All right. Ooh, Gen 5. Good God. Yeah, that's pretty damn good. It's like double the previous gen. Do you really notice that speed difference? I'm still running an old SATA SSD. Although I'm starting to think I need more space. It's an old 1 terabyte. I bought it probably like a decade ago at this point. Whenever Crysis 2 came out, that's how old this drive is. So old Western Digital Blue. Had to actually look at my PC for a sec. Yeah. It's got the 3D NAND and all that fancy crap in it. I paid about what you paid for yours, probably. $230. Did you get the 2 terabyte or the 1 terabyte? Because I got the 1 terabyte, and it cost me like $230 10 years ago. So actually, a little longer than 10 years ago. It would have been like around 2014 or two. Well, actually, yeah, about 10 years ago. Yeah. 2 terabyte, of course. Really? See, I was looking up like, because I'm curious about upgrading, right? And so I know I need more storage space, but the problem I'm having is like, do I just kind of buy a cheaper SATA drive? Is the speeds really worth it? So, etc. And it's kind of mixed. Like, some people say it's worth it, some people say it's not. I guess the one thing that's kind of the most common thing people say is like, the higher the speeds are, like, you're not really getting those advertised speeds because very few things take advantage of that kind of speed right now. So once you're kind of at like a certain level, you're kind of okay. You'll get a little bit more speed, but like, they measure it in maybe like a second or half a second as opposed to, full seconds. So I don't know. On the other hand, if you can get it, why wouldn't you, right? But yeah, 8 terabyte. That's a mechanical drive though, right? It's an 850X. No, that's an NVMe for 8 terabyte. Good Lord, dude, that's like $1,000 for that. Let's see. How much is 8 terabyte on Amazon? $617 currently. Damn. I mean, that's pretty wild. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And, like, that's kind of my big thing. Like, 1 terabyte has lasted me a long, long time. But I'm finally at the point now where I'm like, yeah, it's time for 2 terabyte. My PS5 has 2 terabytes in it. I should have more than that in my PC. But what I've been doing is I've been, the problem is most of my drive is starting to get filled up with like junk, if that makes sense, because I haven't redone my PC since 2020. And so, yeah, I have a lot of old programs and bloat and stuff that I've uninstalled, but like, or I've left. And, so like a lot of the hard drive space right now is not actually games. It's old stuff, full of files I've backed up and pictures and, just random stuff. So, yeah. 120 gigs? May I introduce you to my friend Call of Duty? That bastard, what was it? The PS4 can no longer update Call of Duty because, Warzone, because it's like 500 gigabytes now on the PS4. And the PS4 hard drive has to have a certain amount of space free to allocate when it does updates for some reason. I don't know why. It's an operating system thing. And so there's not enough space on a 1 terabyte PS5 or PS4 to update Call of Duty, which is just like, what? It's too bloated of a game. Yeah. See, my plan was to have a NVMe or just, whatever SSD. Probably 2 terabyte. If I can get better for cheaper, sure, but probably not. And then everything else that I want to have for like longer term backup storage type stuff would be on like a mechanical drive. Stuff that I'm not really that worried about like a loading time on. Like old ROM files or, old documents or something. And so the mechanical hard drive to cost ratio, for like storage is huge. Like you can get, like probably, 8-9 terabytes for like $150. It's pretty cheap. So, well, yeah, because Warframe is, I don't know, optimized. So the problem is like all of these companies, the better technology's gotten, the more reliant they have become on the technology doing all these things for them. And so they don't have to like the old days where you have to somehow figure out how to take your giant game and compress it down into like, 1 kilobit of information. Nowadays you're like, I have unlimited storage. We'll just make players buy it's like with Nintendo, their cartridges. All the developers are choosing to just do the game key card thing because they don't want to have to pay for storage space. And the storage space, the max storage space for the Switch 2 is only 64 gigs, which sounds like, only 64 gigs. But to be honest, like, if you could fit Cyberpunk with everything on it onto 64 gigs, what are you doing with all these other games? 4K assets. No, come on. Like, we know better. These developers, a lot of developers now, they don't use technology to, squeeze out as much performance as they can. They just don't. The compression technologies, all that, they're not, they're doing it, but not as much as you'd think. At least that's my perspective on things. When I see Silent Hill 2 Remake and I see all the performances it has, and then somebody goes, I wonder what the game looks like when you turn off the fog, and it looks the same just without the fog. Like, that's ridiculous, considering that Silent Hill exists because of a technical limitation on the PlayStation 1. So it's just stupid. Look at frame gen and newer graphics cards. It doesn't matter how good the card could run a game. It matters how good the card can run the frame gens. Yeah, but like, so pure raster, I understand, is getting to the point where if you want to push hard, game graphics further, the current level of hardware for the price, given the market conditions and all that, it's just getting harder and harder to do that. Okay, fine. Companies don't want to make custom hardware anymore, so they want to just everything's becoming a PC, right? Type of thing. Bespoke, like a PlayStation 2 with its motion engine and Super Nintendo with its Mode 7 chips and all of that, like custom hardware developer, they don't want to do that anymore. Fine, right? But like frame gen and DLSS and all of this stuff, it's just cheat codes. Like, it's all it is. It's just, they're using technology to cheat, to make it seem like you're like the raster of your card is better than it is. And it's impressive. Like, a lot of games probably couldn't run without DLSS, sure, but like, Kind of, yeah. But the Xbox, even though it's a PC, it's still a custom PC. Like the NVIDIA chipset that's in there is basically a GeForce 3, but not really. That's why people have always had a hard time emulating the Xbox, not because of the raw power of it, but because translating what the parts are in the Xbox to, to emulate. Like, how do you emulate a GeForce 3? Well, that's simple. All the documentation's out there. How do you emulate a GeForce 3 in an Xbox? It's harder because there really wasn't documentation on what was different. So, on the other hand, you can upgrade the CPU by basically just tossing in, I think there's a couple of gens that are compatible from a PC. Just toss them into your Xbox. So it's weird, right? It's kind of that weird device. The controller ports, that's just a USB 1.0 protocol. I actually built an adapter at one point so that I could soft mod it using Splinter Cell. So, yeah, I just stripped an old third-party controller, wired the cables into a stripped-out USB cable, and then popped it in, and boom, there you go. Pop my USB thumbstick in, loaded up the save files, and boom, that was away to the races. That's how I soft modded my Xbox. Which is kind of funny, right? Because, like, I miss those days when you could do that kind of stuff. But, yeah. I don't know. See here. All right, let's fire up Chrono Odyssey. I want to actually play this sometime tonight. Panzer Dragoon. All right. Okay. I'm at a black screen. I don't know why the game's not actually starting. Video game. Oh, here we go. Thank you for participating in the Chrono Odyssey closed beta. Your feedback is invaluable in helping us improve the game experience. Take a short survey. Yeah. Nope, I just want to play the game. Ah! It's loud.
Thus did hubris swallow me whole.
There we go.
Wrought by my own folly. The void has consumed us all. Forsaken by our God. Calamity bears not name nor face, yet draws closer still. Is this the end? Nay. 'Tis but the beginning.
It's got like a Diablo vibe to it, damn.
Our cries shall be heard, but not remembered.
That's not good. You need to get some sleep. All right, North America. Got a lot of servers. Oh, they skipped NA69. Oh, wait. But what is the... Oh, that's the connection quality. Darn it. I wanted to be NA69. Alright, fine. We'll just do NA4. It's probably the most populated server anyway. Alright. What is this resolution? not gonna let me do. There we go. Epic quality settings. We'll see how much that makes my computer cry. TSR. Really? Desync on. Alright. Let's see here. Alright. You gonna let me in? No? I selected a server. Wow. I guess NA4 is known. Alright, we'll do NA69. Okay. What the heck? Okay, how about this? Alright, I am very confused. Alright, we're gonna quit this game and come back to it. I'm just kidding. But I am confused as to what's going on here, because... Is it maybe because I changed some settings? Let's try this again. Keeps wanting me to do that stupid survey. You should be popping this up after I've played the game, not before.
Thus,
Okay, I am very confused. Okay, I'm very, very confused. Alright, let's figure out what's going on here. Is there a Reddit for this? I'm very confused as to why I cannot actually get into it. See, I'm trying to figure out why. Interesting. Alright, so exit Steam. Run Steam as administrator, which, I mean, sure. I thought I did play this or start this as an admin. Try this again. So it's not letting me in because of admin issues? That makes no sense. Oh. Yeah, no, I don't want marketing information. Okay, so it should actually let me in now that I've agreed to it. Let's see. And of course, we're gonna pick server 69. There we go. Oh, that's cool looking. All right. Oh, create a character. Alright, select a new class for your Sentinel. So what do we got? We got Sorcerer. This class is currently deactivated and will be revealed at launch. Okay. Assassin. This class is currently deactivated. Alright, Alright, we got Giga Chat. Oh, we can actually play as him. Alright, we can play the Berserker. What else do we got? Paladin. This class is currently deactivated. Alright. What's this one? Ranger. Alright, we can play the Ranger. Then we got this guy here. Swordsman. Alright, so we have Barbarian, Ranger, and Swordsman we can pick from. Let's see. So we can do Great Sword, Sword and Shield, and Dual Blades. Their strength is fueled by Rage. Yeah, okay. So he's a WoW warrior. What was Barbarian then? Chain Blades, Twin Axes, and a Battle Axe. Berserkers are relentless warriors, embodying unbridled fury on the battlefield. Chain Blades pulls enemies to the fray. Twin Axes deliver devastating blows, and the Battle Axe provides sturdy defense for allies. Fueled by Rage, okay. Berserkers enemies relentless assaults, and further bloodshed only drives their power to new heights. Their destruction ends only when all foes fall silent. Okay, so that's pretty cool sounding. And then, oh, it was the Ranger was the other one here. A lonely arrow cleaves the deep as a great horde lament. Sure, yeah, okay. Rangers are adept marksmen, excelling in neutralizing enemies from a distance while remaining well prepared for close encounters. The bow and crossbow deliver precisely the strikes, while the rapier ensures survival in dire straits. Drawing upon vigor, a life force representing their connection to nature, they unleash devastating attacks that return foes to nothingness. Arrows that blades of stars shall shape the fate of all those within it. Okay, whatever. So we got bow, crossbow, and rapier. Alright. So we have those three classes. Would have been cool to play these other ones, but sure. And that's all you can select on the screen. Okay. So what do we got? We got Berserker and Swordsman, which are kind of the same. He's got sword and board, and he's got Kratos chains. And then you got the Ranger, which seems pretty typical for a Ranger. I don't know, we can kind of... I want cool suit of armor. I think that's where I'm going to go. I mean, Ranger sounds really interesting, though. I guess it just depends. We'll try them all out, I think. I mean, you only got 3 classes. You gotta at least try them all, right? Ooh. Alright, so we are not gender locked. I really appreciate that. Too many of these Korean MMOs, they have like, you know, a lot of them are just like gender. Wow, look at the detail. She's got peach fuzz. That's crazy. Sometimes I look at this kind of stuff and I'm just like really surprised at how I haven't noticed how good game graphics have gotten. And this is just wild. Alright. And this guy. Oh, I think he was the guy that was on at the table. Got this chick. She got some heteochromia going on there. Eh. That is interesting. Got this preset. I don't know. I've always liked like the counter, like the idea of like small chick with a giant sword just sounds kind of fun. I think we'll go with her. Whoa. Skin and bones. She's a bit chunky. We'll just go with normal. Everything's fine. Yeah, we're good. Let's see. Let's see here. We'll just be generic. Alright. Look at them boobies. Alright. Let's start. So I have seen the character creation menu. Some of the other streamers have made some very interesting, fun ones. Well, what the game? What are you doing there?
At last, we'll soon be rid of this mess.
A relic that reverts time. To think we've come this far chasing mere myth.
Tails, fucking hell.
Little
As if
janky
there was
there.
another choice. No allies, kin. We've not left to lose.
Maybe I'll turn down a setting or two and see what happens.
We move to secure the relic. Ready yourselves. Balder, join me at the front.
I was watching Talia play this earlier though, and it did seem like this was kind of how it looked anyway. A little jank.
Get up! 'Tis an ambush! Grab your arms. We must find Etheldrada.
Some crazy shit going down.
I hope Etheldrada's okay. We must
Whoa.
hold the line.
Yeah, see this is good. Look at that blur. That is kind of nauseous. All right, we are changing a setting here. turn down some of this. There. It's better. That blur is crazy though. Alright.
No end. You go first to the captain.
Oh, there we go. Sword! Boom! Just kill them all. Okay, so do I just go somewhere? Oh, head to the ruins. There's got to be some frame gen happening. This says I'm running 30 frames per second.
We must save the captain and securing the relic.
I don't know if I believe that. This is it's almost too smooth. There's got to be some frame gen on. Oh, yo. We get a horse. Yo. This is so sick looking. Game?
Still breathing, eh? To think a little sot like you made it this far.
Yeah, there's definitely some kind of post-processing that's like really messing up the frames here. Let me see if I can clean that up. Alright, we're gonna turn down global illumination to medium. I just feel like a lot of this doesn't need to be so out of control. Can we just do medium? There. Everything's turned on to medium. Let's see if that helps. Oh, there you go. Still not perfect, but am I in combat? With what? Oh, here we go.
They're tenacious, I'll give them that. What must be in the ruins after all?
All right.
I'll hold off the void here. You head to the captain.
Do not falter! Straight through!
Oh, what is going on here?
One final push! Roll up fallen comrades! That's the gate! Soldiers, rise! The relic is straight ahead!
Oh, there we go. All right, I'm getting the hang of it. So performance issues aside,
The relic.
I mean, this is not bad looking. Oh shit. Oh no, it's the thief. Damn, he looks so cool. Ow. Ow. Oh, knocked me away. No, she lost her arm. And then she lost everything else. Oh.
The void.
And then he's exploding.
They have claimed countless worlds. Even so, we still have a chance. The Chronotector is capable of turning back time. I shall return you to the past. Find me there. Bring word that the future has changed.
All right. I remember seeing some of this from the dev. Come on, game. It's the game. It's not my. It's not my computer, because like, look, my VTuber program is running just fine. This game is just having a hard time staying functional. Here, I'll show you. You can see my FPS in the top corner. I mean, it's 61 FPS. There's some frame gen going on because it doesn't feel like I'm running at, 20 something sometimes or whatever, but I can't turn any of that off. So, I turned everything down to medium. That does seem to have helped. It's possible also because I picked a server that has a higher ping too, but like I do think that there's definitely some performance issues happening that need to be ironed out. If I had a critique so far, it's that the intro really does just kind of throw you in. So a couple of things. The first thing is picking your class. It's cool that they kind of give you a cool description, and I like the whole idea of like the main class is sitting around a table. But when you click a class, it doesn't really give you like a good impression of like what the abilities actually are that you'll be using, just that you have a sword on board or a big sword. As somebody who plays these kind of games, of course, yeah, I know what a great sword is, right? But a lot of people would like to be able to see that kind of an action. So like some video previews of like what the character's ability, like, or what the class ability can do, would be kind of handy. Also, the cinematics are really good, but there is a very jarring like difference between how cool the cinematic looks on the pre-rendered side versus like when you're actually playing stuff. It doesn't flow smoothly in and out of the cinematic into the game world back into the cinematic. So I feel like there's probably a little work you could do there to kind of make that transition feel smoother. So I do like it. It's a very short, brief, here's the game, here's what's some crazy stuff happening. But that's kind of the other thing too, is like, I have no idea what the hell's going on. The monsters aren't explained. Like, I know what the void things are because I've seen the previews for this game. But I'm just speaking here from like a new player experience. I have no idea what the void is. I have no, like, he's cool looking. I don't know why he's a badass though, right? Like, what does he do that's so different from any other invading monster alien guy, right? I didn't have any time to sympathize with any of the people that I was trying to fight with. I don't even know what their names were. Did they have names? I don't know. So that was an issue. And then we're going to ban that jackass because I do not need to be buying anything from you. Thank you. Sorry. Gotta ban jerks in my stream. But anyways, yeah, so the onboard experience is like, it would be nice if it was a little bit longer, a little more like lore, ish type stuff. Like, who was the guy that saved me at the end with that axe before I ran into the fortress? Stuff like that would have been kind of like cool, nice to know. Just to kind of help give you more context as to like what's happening, what's going on, that kind of a thing. And then just to kind of weave the in-game stuff in, and the cinematics a little better in terms of like, going in, like you're going into the fort and then like there's a cutscene and then, all of a sudden there's monsters and you got to fight the monsters, or do you? You can apparently just run past everything. So just that kind of vibe, it would be nice. So, but other than that, I like it. I really, I've seen people compare this to New World. I could definitely see already why people are doing that. But I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. New World's lore is kind of shit. Like, when I first played New World, I was like, oh, it's colonialism, the MMO. Like, I knew that there was some cool kind of supernaturally stuff, but like the game does not, or at least it didn't when it launched. Like, it did not really have, like the vibe that the trailers might have given off. So whereas this game, I am already very much in love with this setting. You know, these eldritch time traveling, you know, like it just looks cool. I love the monster designs. I love the lore in terms of like what they're trying to go for. It'll be great to kind of dig into that and see how they kind of flesh out the world. It's in beta, so I'm very much willing to overlook a lot of flaws. I'm just, you know, for the little time that I have to be able to play these games, I just want to be able to kind of give my thoughts and flesh things out. So with all of that said and out of the way, let's actually play the darn game. Also, let's see. Am I cute? Yeah. I wonder if there is a thing where you can like redo what your character looks like later on. Okay, so we got inventory. I didn't really explain this before. Equipment, jewels, consumables, material, random stuff. Alright, I got sword and board and greatsword. It's cool that you have these two things. And if I remember correctly, I believe there's actually a point to that where like you're encouraged to kind of swap back and forth. Ragged clothes, ragged trousers. Yeah, skills. Okay, so we got dual blades, although I don't have any blades, so that doesn't matter. Sword and shield. I have no points. But what can you get? The shield bash followed by a sleeping slash. You get stamina back from it. Okay, so this is just like a basic skill tree. Not a bad thing. Actually, it's pretty robust. I mean, it gives you a lot of stuff. Assuming you can actually fill it all out. I'd imagine you're probably going to reach a point where you have to like pick certain stuff. And then you got greatsword. Yeah. And then we got, what's this? Class mastery. Oh. Okay. Oh, these are nice. Gain super armor for 15 seconds. I have no idea how important any of this is, so I won't even judge on whether it's overpowered or not. Oh, but you only get to equip a certain number of them. Oh, that's cool. So that's a good idea. Chrono Odyssey. So what do these do? Releases a shockwave that reveals traces of the past, including specific objects and footprints. Oh. Halts enemy movement for a set duration. Reverts the caster's position and hit point to their previous state after 10 seconds. Grants slow fall and aerial gliding. Does not prevent fall damage after the effect ends. Yeah, don't jump off high places, apparently. Summons a specter that fights alongside you for a set duration, vanishing after unleashing a powerful skill. This is cool. And then I would imagine that they could probably like increase this as time goes on, just to give you more abilities and things to choose from. That's the map. Wow, that's... And I would imagine... Oh, wow. Well, I guess we're about to find out how big this is, but this looks pretty big so far. Lots of various quest things. Records. Guild. Apparently there's some guilds already. Tiny hands, massive clap since birth. Create a party, find a party. And we've already done settings. Yeah, a lot of this was the same. I'm private. And okay. What is escape and exit game? If I push that, do I get isekai'd? I don't know if I'd want to isekai into this world, but you know. Alright. Oh. No, get out of that. Alright, let's actually play the game. Why are we in a cave after everything that just happened? Let's find out. Cool characters? No, I got goofy guys. The ratio of goofy people to decent looking people will obviously change as time goes on. Whoa! Alright, Mr. Krabs. Yeah, whatever. What is this? Oh, alright.
That the future has changed.
What? Oh, what is this? Bro. 1 year ago. Cetra, invasion point the Eye.
Shall be your strength.
Alright. So I got some health potions. That is so cool looking. Monster just pouring out. It looks almost like Death Stranding. What are you shooting at? Not really sure what he's shooting at there. Okay, respawn point activated. First Breath Coast. Yeah, the pop-in is a little annoying. It's almost like the game is trying to load like stream assets in or something. Kind of jarring. Alright, Lil Sot, where in Kronos' name have you been? The Gaul, lost your wits, eh? I've had enough of your tomfoolery. How all you want, but we've had far worse on our hands. See that? Damn void are swarming the coast like a broken dam. If we don't put an end to the Eye, we're ruined. Shh. I've scoured the shore, but there's no safe way to reach the Eye. I'll see if there's aught I've missed. You head for the coastal outpost first. Take the path to the cave. 'Tis your safest bet. Kaya should be there as well. Alright. Boom. Ooh, we got a mastery. Alright, so... Alright, I think we'll just increase damage points. More damage, good. Die, Birch. understood, but another mastery point? What is that up there? That looks like a fort. Well, all right, you're gonna be like that. You got wrecked. Alright. Yeah, seeing enemies just kind of pop in like that, that looks a little... That looks kind of janky. What is this guy up here? Am I ready to die? Oh. Oh, what's this? Oh, you're cool looking. Apparently you won't attack me if I'm just kind of hanging out, though. Alright, I need to figure out where I'm supposed to go, so where's the map here? Oh, he's just taking off. Oh, you got a cool tower over there. What? Oh, that's right. I was like, I saw you get body slammed. Etheldrada. Where in Cronus' name have you been? I know we failed to report, but you've neither armor nor weapon in your name. Have you lost all reason? Tell me, did you at least recover the meteorite? That was your last mission. Long past due. And now, disobedience. According to martial law, your execution should be immediate. Yet, given our current plight, your punishment will have to wait. For now, arm yourself and fend off the void at the coastline without delay. Understood? Alright, so... Oh, there we go. Yo. Alright. So you have to choose between that and that, huh? Why give you 3 options if you can only have 2? Swap it for the sword. Sword and board. Yo. Look at that shit. That's pretty hype. Alright. Let's go kill some void.
No getting through! Aye, little son! I've a task for you!
Yeah, and where are you, Balders? Okay, I did that. God, the popping is a bit atrocious. Oh, there he is. For F's sake, there's not an opening in sight. We have no choice but to remain here and slay the void one by one. At this rate, the bleed is dry. Our only course is to breach the void eye or bomb it to ash and swift at that. Speaking of which, I have a little quest for our hero. Kaya sent word that secured an ideal sniping spot in the Highlands near the Eye of Insight. Mind heading over and scanning the surroundings. Let me know of any openings we can exploit or weaknesses in our defenses. Anything at all would be of great help. Okay. So this way. So you've been spared? No? Resurrected? I reckon you aren't here for more ammunition. Be quick. I've not a moment to waste. Dreaming, are we? Just look at their advance. Nary a crack in sight. Maybe we'd still have a fighting chance if I could snipe the void eye. Chuckle. I suppose this is the end. If only I had the means to destroy the eye, I'd gladly raise hell and gunfire from up high. so select temporal tuning, activate temporal tuning. Okay, there we go.
Follow the trail of light to higher ground. To quell.
Oh? So climb to a tall spot, hit a stopwatch, and you're good to go. Hmm. Still have that thing. Whatever that is. I'm also not sure why the sun is ridiculously bright right there. I feel like your field of vision shouldn't be that, like your ability to see that far. Everything's so clear. Repeating textures. So do I just jump off? I feel like that's what they want you to do, right? Just jump. Oh. Alright, now we're New World. Got zombies. Can't loot them. Whoa! Well, I got wrecked. Achievement unlocked. First death. I must say, quite the gift you got there. Oh, our little hero returns in one piece. This would be really nice with some voice acting. So how'd you pull it off? I couldn't even draw near that accursed hive, let alone destroy it. What's that? You got there? Confound it all? You're saying that old scrap took out the Void Eye? Ha! What's gotten into you? Enough with this nonsense. You head to the settlement. The captain awaits. She's at the frontier headquarters, scouting the area. Kai and I will follow suit. Let's reconvene there. Don't go across the line here. Captain's still on edge, and I won't even be able to save your skin if you act a fool. Once you're ready, meet me at the frontier headquarters.
Heading to the settlement, are we? How about some company? I am Romek, humble pilgrim of Chrono.
This is voice acted. What the heck?
Though I may see no more than a beggar, 'tis far from the truth.
And he's not actually talking, he just stares at you. Alright, anyway. Did he just follow me? He does. Okay, so let's give a little bit more constructive criticism here. Hold on a sec here. I want to see something. Yeah, that's what I thought. If I do borderless. Okay. So we got borderless 1440p. But I have high settings. And the blur is back. And I'm at 32 FPS. And the grass is still popping in like 3 feet from where I... Look at this. Look at the ground. Look at all the detail just popping in. This is on high. Also, your character movement. You're basically ice skating. Look at the stutter. I'm looking at the ground. Like, look at the frame rate. Wow. I don't know what's going on there, but that was 17 frames. Yeah, wow, right here. 16, 15, 14. Yeah, that's insane. Whatever's going on there. All right. Alright, we're gonna choose cinematic. Let's see what cinematic looks like. I want to see, like, what's the max graphical awesomeness? Is it even gonna run? No. It's trying. Oh my god. 8 frames a second, guys. Let's go, boys. Oh my gosh, it tessellated the ground, that's why. See all the rocks now? They're not flat? Sorry, I gotta see like the farther out view. I mean, this is really pretty, but oh, look, the water's different now too. That's like a full ocean. Alright. That's hurting my eyes. Alright, let's do epic settings. I think we can get away with epic. That's a little better. Still got a lot of draw distance and stuff, but you can see like the lighting is ray traced. All right. All right. So now we got 3 abilities. This is almost playable at epic. And it's funny because like playing it on the medium settings. Remember I was complaining about, oh, look at that nice light shaft there. But I was complaining about like, oh wow, you can see really far and it just looks really like bare bones and stuff. And this looks way better. This looks like a full game. Broken Swordsman. He's purple. I don't know if I want to mess with that. Whoa. And dead. Nice little wub wub wub. Alright. Yeah, the game definitely looks a lot better there. But I would like some frames. So... no, frames still suck. Yeah, this is funny how uncustomizable this is. Try that 50% resolution scale. Now we're talking. Wow, and it still struggles. Yeah, it ran better at 4K full screen. Yeah, look at that. Now we're up to 60. So if you put it in 4K, but in full screen, it runs it better than 1440p and borderless window. The downside is everything pops in. And there's no... like, this is like low texture setting. And I don't know why. Like, I feel like with a 4070 Super and a 5900X and, you know, 32 gigs of RAM, And my PC itself is not the issue here. Like, my VTuber model would lag like crazy with these kind of graphics, like if cranked up. And it's just not. So there's definitely some optimization problems. I'm not expecting to be able to crank it to cinematic. I don't have a 5090, right? But like...
That peculiar clock of yours.
But like, this is
I knew
ridiculous.
it looked familiar.
Medium shouldn't look this bad.
His design is identical to the painted walls of the Temple of Kronos. If my memory serves true, it was Kronos himself who crafted that sacred relic. Yet, yours looks more counterfeit than that. Say, where can I find one for myself?
Run. That did like nothing to him for damage. All right, so let's take the steps. Goblin.
These cursed knees of mine. The settlement lies just ahead. A sacred monument.
What is going on here?
Lies
Look
near
at
the
this.
entrance. There we shall part ways. Now,
Why is this so
where
bad?
will I find a loaf of bread?
Is that a little better at least? No. This is just broken. Wow. I mean, that looks cool. I love how half the textures aren't on it, but it looks cool. So, all right. I guess that's so far like if I had to describe this experience so far, it's jank. like, this is pretty janky. I mean, it's a beta, so I'm not expecting it, like, and if this feels like a real beta, this feels like a game that's not done. And maybe there's several builds ahead of this public one. You know, they're just looking for like player feedback. So, but I'm so distracted by this crap, the world, you know, the graphical issues with the world. You know, like, it just bothers me that I'm not seeing anything here that should be so crippling to PC performance, that you need to have, you know, super sampling cranked to the maximum. You know, you have to have all your settings down to low just to get a playable frame rate. And the settings that you can tweak are so, like, you don't know what you're doing. Like, what is it in saying epic and high and medium and low? Like, it doesn't really tell you. And so, like, it would be nice to tweak certain settings, like maybe have the draw distance a little better, you know, or maybe you could tweak the draw distance, or, you know, just the option is there, but you don't know how effective it is, and constantly going back and forth is just, it's very annoying, especially when you're looking at it and it's like, this is ridiculous. Where are the textures on this building? Look at the clouds. That's the DLSS, the frame. Look at that. Look at the shadow. That's the frame. Here, I'll show you what it looks like when you don't have all that crap on it. Cinematic. Give it a sec here. Frame rate's going to be absolutely dog crap, but yeah. Look at that. That is with epic settings. You can see the problem that this game is having with that. Here, maybe if we reset the game, maybe that's the issue. We need to reboot the game after doing these settings. So we're going to do that. We're going to exit out of the game. All right, we're going to restart it. And like I said, I know it's not my computer, because when I have a particularly demanding game on my PC, I'm only streaming with just one PC. I don't have a dual PC setup. So this guy and OBS and everything is running on the same PC that the game is. You know, and there shouldn't be any like massive performance issues unless your game is very demanding. And you'll see that because the system will struggle. Yeah, your system will struggle. If the graphics are like really high end, making the system sweat and work hard, the VTuber model, I will struggle. OBS will struggle to render. And that's just not happening. All right, so let's see if rebooting the system helped. Or not system, but rebooting the game. Let's see if rebooting the game helped. I'm not holding my breath. Well, it's trying. Well, 14 FPS on cinematic. And the texture still didn't load on the building. Maybe they're not meant to load, I guess. We got them on the bottom. Well, like, does that look any better for being cinematic? I mean, I guess stuff isn't popping up right away. That's nice. You don't have pop-in. But again, I'm not seeing anything here that's like so demanding that you have to have these very high settings. So let's turn it down to epic. Big dude. Then you can see like the DLSS and all that is kicking in. Look at the hair, the fringing on the hair there. That's DLSS. So what we could do is turn it down to high, crank the resolution scale. No, we'll do medium. See if this helps. Wow, even there, look, you can see there is definitely some kind of like incorrect post-processing happening. That blur that you're seeing whenever the screen moves, like, that's not motion blur. That is upscaling. And then you can see it here with the hair too. But even like around the weapon, you can see like around the handle, the guard, and the guard and the hilt, you can see how like when you're moving it across the flowers here, you can see the fringing. Yeah. I mean, the game is pretty, don't get me wrong, but it's not so pretty that like the, you know, like that the performance is just insufferable and bad. Yeah, I know, dude. You got your horse. Good for you. Go away. I got some fish. Maybe see NPC. I don't know. Look at the shadows. Yeah, there's some temporal stability issues to make it sound like I watch Digital Foundry a bit. But yeah. Alright. So let's put the render scale at 75. And the graphics at high. Well, I suppose we could do that. But we'll turn down post-processing quality. We're just gonna put that on low. Crank the crap out of the AA. That on low. Medium. Alright. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, clouds passing by, but I can't see any clouds in the sky because the sun is so damn bright. Oh, there we go. Now I can see some clouds. That sun is just drowning out everything else. Apparently it's an extremely bright day in this world. Here, you know what? What happens if we do that? Oh, that is a little better. The sun's still really bright, but like everything is still really bright. Yeah, yeah, at the risk of being the fun police, I don't think you should be able to make characters look that goofy. Very, like, it just... I can't kill a chicken? Dodged it. Damn. Yeah, I guess 30 FPS is probably not bad. It's playable, even though, wow, it's 18. It's playable, but at least it looks okay. Minus the temporal stability is bad, but God, it just, yeah. And that just looks terrible. That looks cool. Why does that have better textures than that tower? I just don't understand that. Anyway. Alright, I think I'm going to take a short break, actually. And, yeah, I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. Okay, so continuing my thoughts on the game so far. I do find it kind of immersion breaking to have player characters have really wacky proportions. And the color blue for skin and stuff like that. That just it's very jarring when you're trying to make a game that has, like, I guess you can't help the naming policy. I know some people, when it comes to naming policies, like, some people want the really immersive, like, can't make goofy names, like this character's name being Stream Crush, right? But I mean, honestly, that's a silly thing to enforce. As long as it doesn't, like, as long as it's not offensive or anything, I'm pretty sure Gorthquake over there's, his name's fine, or Meepady, whatever, right? Like, sure. On the other hand, like, but like this guy right here, that just looks goofy. It's immersion breaking. You have this, like, Tale of Two Aesthetics thing going on, where it's like, on one hand, your game is this realistic graphics, it's trying to sell you a lot of immersion in this cool world you've developed, a lot of crazy art and Diablo darkness and all that kind of stuff, right? And then you have, Blanco or whatever, right? Where, MOG Bobo, like, I mean, I guess he looks kind of all right, but, like, you know what I mean? You just, having that kind of, like, weird juxtaposition, like that guy Gorthquake. Look at his character design. He has, like, no legs but giant arms. It just looks silly. Oh, I guess is she naked? Jamster, same thing here. Yeah, it just looks really silly. I mean, like, they're having fun, I guess. Look at them go. But yeah, it just looks really goofy. It's just to have. Oh, did we crash? Yeah, game crashed. Exception stack overflow. Damn. Alright, we'll close Chrono Odyssey. Yes, send. Okay, send and restart. You going to send? I was playing the game. There we go. It's like, tell us what you were doing while you were trying to play this game. I was playing the game. I don't know, just standing around in the middle of nowhere. Alright, so before I go any further in the game, let me focus my thoughts here. So on one hand, I love the aesthetics of the game. The relatively realistic graphics. I'm okay with that. I do like the character customization. I feel like it's very, very in depth. I do find it a bit silly that you could make some very outrageous looking characters. I wish that was kind of reined in, the super extreme proportions.
Thus did hubris.
But like, okay, fine. The character creation thing, that's one issue that I have with it. Because, like, you have this, look at this is the tone of the game, or the tone the game wants to sell you is this. They start with that cool cinematic of the dude getting, decapitated and then tentacles coming out of his mouth and all that wild stuff. And then you got this, literally somebody grieving over a dead person, with monsters everywhere. Somber music, So they're trying to go for, like, this really serious tones of the story. And then you have Bimbo the Green Goblin guy, because in the character creation he could make the most distorted freak of nature ever. That's kind of jarring. But beyond that, actually, You know what? I'm gonna pick a server that is. We're gonna do server 4. We're gonna try a new character. Maybe it's a little different. Yeah, that looks a little better than my initial. So maybe my graphic settings didn't have that on there before. It's still a relatively bare bones room. But I do like them kind of sitting around. I've always liked character select screens like this. Yeah, we'll do the ranger this time. Sure. I think that was the elf. I think she was an elf. Yeah, see, like, I feel like there. Just pick one of these 3, and then that should be the max you get. Although that is a very thin girl, but like whatever. You know, like that kind of a thing. This is your body types. That's what you get to pick. You know, thicker, medium, thin. You know, and then from then, you know, having some like parameters, yeah, but not to the point where like it crazily distorts the character. So, but yeah, let's see, how big can we make her boobs? See, the boobs have relatively realistic sliders. I mean, they are still pretty big on her, but you know, but like you can't make like giant watermelon-sized bazongos, right? I'll just give her normal boobs. So like, you know, that seems funny that you can do that, but you can do that. You know, like, I guess. Why is this allowed? I just don't understand this. This is just silly to me. Yeah, you know what? Let's go even further. Well, she got some crazy deltoids there. You know, there we go. Look at that. Like, to me, this is just like, why is this even a thing? Like, that's stupid. This type of thing should not be allowed. Sorry. I'm not saying that, like, your only option should be the prettiest, you know, model you could make, but, like, this is stupid. You know, to be able to have, like, you know, because, yeah, that definitely fits into my Dark Diablo style sci-fi game. You know, sci-fi fantasy game, whatever, right? Like, yeah, she's just, you know, hail hero of the kingdom. It's just so stupid. Like, this is something I definitely do not like about this game. So, let's see how she looks at equipment. Wow, look at that ranger. Yeah, she's got some crazy arms. I'm impressed that they've made the armor fit like this, though. Like, that almost looks normal. Until you realize how wacky the dimensions really are. Anyway. Oh dear God. Yeah, I think we've gone too far with the character. What the fuck? Yeah, I do think there's such a thing as going too far with character creation. Look at these randoms. This is just ridiculous. He looks like a fucking clown. They all look like clowns. It's like looking at Joker's gang. It's like going to a millennial party. All you're missing is a dude with a man bun. They're all bad. I mean, I guess that's kind of normal. Still got some clown makeup stuff going on, but there you go. Sure. Alice. Her name's Alice. Of course it is. Sure. She's Alicia. Alright. So we'll go through the starting experience one more time here. See what we got going on. Okay, so still some performance issues, but it runs a little better than it did last time. Oh, I take that back.
At last, we'll soon be rid of this
A
mess.
relic that reverts time. To think we've come this far chasing mere myth.
Same issues in the same spots.
As if there was another choice. No allies, kin. We've not left to lose.
Soldiers, we move to secure the relic. Ready yourselves. Balder, join me at the front.
Yeah, the motion capture is really bad.
Get up! To the ambush! Grab your arms. We must find Etheldreda. I hope Etheldreda's okay. We must hold the line.
Yeah, kind of the same deal here. Like, these little sparkly things floating around are really distracting. But it's hard to tell what's going on because there's so much of this particle in the air.
Shit, there's no end! You go first, Captain!
But you can run out of arrows? I kind of like this. This feels more fun.
beyond the forest. We must save the captain and securing the relic.
I guess this isn't so bad. That was a little easier to deal with. These particle things in the air can be toned down a bit, though. It's really distracting. Like, I don't even know what it's supposed to be. Is it ash? The way they float around and stuff. It's really kind of hard on the eyes. Oh, that's right, I forgot. But see, it's so weird that, like, look at how well this runs. The FPS counter says 37, but this does not look like it's running at 37. It doesn't feel like it's running at 37 or 35 or whatever, 36. This feels really good. But you can still tell there's DLSS or whatever. It's not as bad as it is in the main part of the game, but it's still there. A completely different color shift.
Still breathing, eh? To think a little sort like you made it this far.
Yeah, there's definitely some Unreal Engine issues, I think. Look at that screen space reflection issue. That still looks really cool, though. I won't lie. Oh, thought I could shoot at it. So, opening experience is still a little jarring. I feel like the transition from cinematic to gameplay to cinematic could be a little better. And I feel like the gameplay segments don't necessarily reflect the same amount of coolness and insanity that the cutscenes do. And I still have no idea what I'm even doing. The game's just kind of throwing you to the wolves here.
They're tenacious, I'll give them that. What must be in the ruins after all?
Oh, there we go. I finally hit him. I'm like right on top of him. Yeah, definitely a little jarring.
I'll hold off the void here. You head to the captain.
Why are you just standing there? And now we're back to this stuff. Like this level of it isn't too bad. But when you get into here, it starts getting really distracting again.
must be the relic.
Yeah, I think what I'm looking at is Unreal Engine issues. Texture pop-ins, stuttering, scenes having issues with textures loading from, and just stuff loading from one spot to the next. The frame jumps and stuff. A lot of this is like the same kind of complaints that you see in other Unreal Engine games. Wow, I got my butt handed to pass there. See, you still lose either way. Because I beat him last time.
The Void. They have claimed countless worlds. Even so, we still have a chance. The Chronotector is capable of turning back time. I shall return you to the past. Find me there. Bring word that the future has changed.
But I guess considering I haven't seen anybody else's lips move outside of that captain right at the beginning, I'm wondering if that's intentional. What the? That was a little weird. feel like the monster AI is kind of bad. But, you know, you've got this guy just kind of shooting at whatever isn't there. This guy's not doing anything. And he doesn't even talk anymore. See, my frustration with the graphics, besides complaining about the character creation, is that a very important thing for MMOs is that frame rate is like kind of a big deal. Polish and frame rate. So like the gold standard in the industry is World of Warcraft. Like there is no other MMO on the market. I mean, there's some that get really close, but there's no other MMO on the market that feels so perfect. And what I mean by that is that like in World of Warcraft, when you hit the button to do something, your character just does it. It feels like you're playing a console game. Like, it doesn't feel like you're playing an online game. It feels like you're just, you know, loading up a game and just playing it. It's a very satisfying thing that you don't think about until you're not playing World of Warcraft. You're playing, like, you know, some other MMO. And you realize, like, there's a bit of a lag between what's happening the moment that you press something. You know, like, it's just very seamless. You don't feel like you're on a server when you play World of Warcraft. I mean, certainly the game does lag and, you know, with servers and, you know, there's, you know, stress server situations and things like that. Absolutely. You know, and the engine's so old now that trying to run, you know, 30 players and effects and all that stuff is definitely a performance issue problem now. But yeah, I mean, like, the game is polished from the start. You start the game. There's very little jank in terms of, like, you know, getting your character up and running. The character creation is short, sweet, and to the point. You know, obviously not the most robust character creation options, but the character creation option is short, sweet, and to the point. The newbie starting experience, it does the job of teaching you everything you need to know to play your class. You know, and then it expands you to the rest of the world pretty quickly and starts ramping up there, you know, more and more. There's a relatively guided experience, at least initially. Obviously, you just follow the exclamation points, but, like, the game does really try to get a new player to not only explore the world through the quests, but also guide them to the next place to quest. And through that, the player is always in a situation where they can roam around as they want to and find all sorts of, you know, things. You know, the exploration aspect. But they're kept on a relatively guided tour, so that if they ever do, you know, need to kind of fall back on, like, hey, I don't know what to do next, or something along those lines, the game's there to kind of be like, we got you, bro. You know, now obviously, you know, World of Warcraft's questing, it gets a bit repetitive. You know, it's, you know, kill 10 boars, get 10 boar livers, now come back after you killed the head boar, that kind of stuff. But there's a certain level of, like, zen to WoW questing. You know, it just feels old because it is old. I mean, the game's 20 years old now, right? But in terms of game design, you know, WoW has a certain level of polish to its user feel. You know, the way the game feels to play. It's very smooth. Everything is very responsive. And then, of course, the other thing is that there's just a lot of general polish. How the UI feels when you're using it, when you're interacting with things. You know, how does the you know, how is the readability of things? Like when you're looking at an item and it tells you the description, you know, hovering over things. You know, do you get any kind of, like, feedback when you hover your mouse cursor over something? You know, how characters interact with you when you talk to them, the dialogue they say. Obviously, World of Warcraft isn't very advanced anymore. You know, I mean, like, newer expansions are better, but in terms of like what they can do. But you know, the general gist is just like, you know, the graphical performance of WoW has always been, you know, respectful of like the system you have. You may not be able to run at fully cranked out settings sometimes, but like, you know, you could at least run the game and it would be smooth. Here, I don't see the graphical wow factor that, you know, makes this game, you know, like justifies why this game has issues with lag, poor responsiveness. You know, the AI in WoW, you know, as primitive as it is, the characters don't just stand there and let you, you know, smack them all the time. But I mean, like, you can exploit, just like in WoW. It's not the most perfect, you know, AI, but tab targeting really does help keep an eye on what you're actually fighting. You know, as cool as this, you know, Dark Souls New World style of gameplay is, there's something to be said about tab targeting. You know, being able to like keep track of things. But this is fine. I don't think this is terrible. But yeah, just speaking on a general like onboarding feel, how the game looks and feels to play. I feel like the character creator lets you get a bit too goofy with the character designs. You know, I feel like the tone of the game, you know, is kind of all over the place. It wants to be this serious, you know, Dark Souls-y Diablo style game, and then like it doesn't really help build any lore to get you into it right off the bat. It's just, you know, you click the button, here you are, these things are happening. So definitely more effort can be put into the presentation. You know, because like these are the most, like, here's the real issue. These are the most important moments of an MMO right now. This, I know it doesn't seem like much, right? But like, this is the most important thing, because this is the new player experience. When somebody wants to play your game for the first time, this is what they're going to see. Is this impressive? Right? Do you come away looking at this and you're like, man, I can't wait to play more. This was just, this blew my mind. I couldn't believe how cool this was. You know? Like, yeah, we kind of giggle at how out of date WoW feels now, but like, back when it came out, you know, like, it was much more, you know, mind-blowing, you know, than you would think. I mean, its competition was EverQuest. It's not a high bar to clear. You know, obviously nowadays, you know, there's a lot more, you know, a lot better presentation and style and stuff like that. But that's the thing, right? Like, even Diablo 4, as much as people crap on that game, the initial, like, experience of creating a character, getting into the game, and just playing for, like, the first hour is a very fun and immersive experience. I think the first hour of Diablo 4's gameplay is great. It's absolutely great. It sets you up with the lore. It sets you up with, like, your character mission, what you're supposed to be doing. It introduces important characters that you're going to be coming back to repeatedly. It helps you acclimate to the world and the systems and what you'll be doing. You know, it has everything you need. You know, everything you need is there. All the way from the starting experience in the cave, all the way to Kyovashad, and beyond. You know, I would say that the leveling experience in Diablo 4 is fantastic in general. I had a lot of fun with the initial campaign, and there was a lot of like non-campaign stuff that I had a lot of fun just doing because I stumbled across it in the world while I was doing other things. You know, like, it's the end game of Diablo 4 that isn't that great, because even though there's a lot of stuff to do, none of it feels like it's worth doing. You know, but that's a personal opinion. So yeah, I'm just saying, like, but for the onboarding experience for this game, I'm not impressed. The initial, like, there are some cool things, like, you know, obviously seeing that in the sky is pretty darn cool. These monster designs are pretty generic, to be honest. But that's fine. You already got your flavor of like how cool the monsters could get when you had that boss fight. But that's the other thing too, is like, why was that guy, besides looking really cool, like why was he important? I don't know. I guess we'll find out later. It's that kind of thing, right? I guess we'll find out later. You know, and that's kind of, that doesn't grab me at all. You know, I don't know what my stakes are because I don't, I feel like a nobody, which I am, but what was the point of even the, you know, stumbling across the artifact and finding out that it's actually a stopwatch inside of a rock and all that? Like, none of that is ever really, you know, what, like, why were you there in the first place? It's not explained. You know, is it humanity's last stand? You know, before you get teleported back to, you know, a year, you know, is where you're at basically like, this is it for humanity. They've been pushed so far back by this invading force, you know, that your only hope is to try and find this artifact. You know, if you had those kind of stakes communicated to you, that would be cool. You know, so yeah, so it's a combination for me so far. And granted, to be fair, I'm still not done with the onboarding experience. You know, like once you get to the village, I'm sure, you know, like I did with the swordsman, I'm sure there's some more stuff to, you know, break you in. Like, oh, here's where the bank is, and here's how you craft stuff. And all right, well, there we got some bandits in a cave you got to go take out. They might know something about the artifact, you know, like that type of stuff. Sure, absolutely. You know, but as a general, like, here's what the game's like when you first start. I mean, outside, the cutscenes are super cool. Especially the pre-rendered stuff is amazing. Like I said, I dig the vibe in this game, man. It is cool. Like the lore setting, they're cooking with it. It's the game that's the problem so far. The jankiness of the graphics and the combat. Nothing feels smooth. Nothing feels polished. And like I said, it's a beta. I get that. And this feels like more of a beta than like, you know, a marketing beta. Like a lot of betas that come out are just, the game's done. They're just doing it for marketing. I don't feel that's the case here. I feel like this game, if this is that, oh my gosh, that's bad. This game needs more time to cook. This game needs more, like, when they're done with this weekend, I hope that they look at all this feedback and they're like, yeah, you know, like, okay, we see what's going on here. We can adjust these things. We can tweak, you know, so yeah. So my big takeaways here, I'll summarize this. I feel like the character creation, I feel like the extremes you can make your character are too much. I feel like if you're going to keep the tone of the story in the game, you know, relatively serious, then, you know, while obviously you can't prevent all the goofy names people can make, at the very least you can kind of restrain the craziness that they could do with the character creation. At least keep it within the realm of, like, human physical possibilities. You know, we don't need a blue guy with Popeye arms is all I'm saying. And then the onboarding experience, I feel like it needs to be a little better. I feel like the class creation, man, that's annoying. I'm gonna turn that off for a sec. I feel like the class creation, God, that's loud. Let's do that. All right, so let's start that over again. So character creation, I feel like character creation. Actually, you know what? We're gonna go all the way back to the beginning. Server selection. Server selection, I believe, needs to have a few more details. I don't understand what, you know, NA server 4 through whatever is. That needs to be maybe a little better. Like, what's the green dot? Does that mean that it's full? I don't know, right? So that there could be a little bit more detail in picking a server to help you kind of make sure you're getting the best connection. Populations I don't care about, but like, yeah, I mean, obviously I care, but like, you know, there's ways around that issue. You know, but in terms of like making sure you pick a server that gives you the best connections to the game, I feel like there could be more details there. class creation. Class creation's cool. I do like the characters kind of sitting around the table. It would be neat if there was a bit more polish to that. You know, it just feels like they're sitting in an empty room at a table. You know, maybe they can kind of broaden it a bit, maybe have an inn or something, or, you know, have some stuff happening around them in the background. Just anything interesting. Maybe the characters can interact with each other a little bit. Who knows? I feel like when you pick a class, though, to see what it's about, the description is nice, but it would be nice if you had, you know, some video clips that played to kind of show you what the class played like, you know, or something along those lines. Just a little bit more info to kind of, you know, really set yourself up for what you might be expecting. Other than that, it's fine. There's nothing really that wrong with it. Going in from class creation to character creation, you know, like I said, my only real issue with character creation is that, you know, you can make some ridiculous combos in terms of, you know, character proportions and the clown makeup issue and all that. I feel like there's such a thing as too much character creation, and I feel like this game suffers from that. I don't think it's a bad thing to have a very robust character creation system, but I feel like the option should always be kind of, you know, you can make anything you want as long as it seems like it would fit into the universe of the game that it's in. You know, it's kind of how I would look at character creation. And then in terms of, like, you know, when you actually start the game, that bit that we're playing through right now, none of the characters that are in the introduction matter. The guy with the axe apparently is important. The girl that you're fighting with, you know, she's your commanding officer, whatever. She's important apparently. But again, there's no real, like, significance to these people, you know, that you're aware of. Yeah, I have no connection to these people off the bat. I have no idea who they are. The other people in the party, they may as well not exist. They die within 2 minutes anyway. You know, I'm not really clear on, like, what we're doing for this mission. Like, yeah, obviously they're going to find the artifact and monsters attacked, but, like, I don't know what any of this stuff is. I don't know what the void is. I don't know what these monsters are. I don't understand the threat. I don't understand the mission. So I feel like that could be done a little bit better. The cinematics are really cool, but they're kind of jarring going from the cinematics to the actual gameplay, because the cinematics look super sweet, and then, like, you're playing, you know, when it gets to the time to actually control your character, this is what you get. You get, like, these characters that, I mean, this is MMO jank. This is MMO jank. This is just NPCs standing around in a pose, attacking monsters and never really actually killing them. It's just all scripted. This is all just scripted, and it looks so silly. You know, especially when you look at, like, the big eye over here. You know, with monsters just spilling out and then vanishing into nowhere. Like, that's a ridiculous amount of monsters spilling out. The world will be overrun in 20 seconds. You know, that kind of stuff. I mean, it looks really cool, don't get me wrong, but, like, yeah, it just seems a little absurd. You know, but I mean, this is, like I said, this is MMO stuff. I'm kind of used to this kind of jank, and you almost kind of need it. We're not at the point yet where you could have, you know, full dive VR MMO Sword Art Online stuff. So you kind of have to take what you can get. That said, I mean, it would be nice if this was a bit more guided, and didn't look so cheesily scripted. Other than that, yeah, I think this part's fine. I do think that, like, the voice acting is kind of it could be a little better. Like, it's just weird how parts of it aren't voice acted and other parts are. So, you know, that's a bit other than that, some more flavor, some more polish, you know, some more lore building. I think that's kind of my biggest complaints, really. So polish up the you know, opening a bit, and I think it would be a better experience. And then finally, and I think this is the really big one for me so far, is just general game performance is just really bad. You know, at times the game can look really pretty, But at other times, it looks really ugly with textures not loading. There's a lot of stuttering and popping. Turning down the settings, like, I'm running at 31 FPS. That's ridiculous. And the game doesn't feel like it's running at 31 FPS. It feels pretty smooth. It just, there's a very inconsistent feel to the game. It's, you know, it's really bad. And then, like, just basic elements of the ground just popping up. It just looks really tacky and bad. You know, like the rock texture. Oh, they finally loaded. Some are. Like, that's ridiculous. Like, why is the texture not loading on these rocks? It's kind of doing it. It still loads low res texture too. I don't know. I just don't see. I just haven't seen anything yet with the graphics where I'm like, oh, I can totally understand why the performance hit is so big. You know, keep in mind that, like, for me, I have a 4070 Super. Not like the most powerful card anymore, but it's still pretty powerful. This is still considered a mid-range card. You know, I have a 5090 or 5900X. Granted, not the most powerful processor anymore, but it's still up there. I think it's in the top 10 or 15. You know, it's not an X3D processor, but it's still pretty strong. You know, I have 32 gigs of RAM, so I have plenty of RAM. You know, I have a terabyte SSD. You know, so, like, as far as PC specs are concerned, I should be fine running this game. There's nothing about this game that is, like, that demanding. You know, or at least, you know, even with the tweaks, I mean, I had it on low, like the lowest settings, and I was still struggling to hit 60. That shouldn't be the case. For an MMO, that's bad, because what's going to happen when you have multiple players that you're grouped with, and you have lots of particle effects and things happening on the screen? Like, it's already hard enough as it is with this kind of stuff. So, you know, as a starting newbie player experience, this kind of sucks. I think this could be a lot better. That said, I feel like you can probably get away with, you know, ignoring all this for now and just kind of enjoying the beta for what it is, which is the plan. So let's see if we can get a little further. We're going to talk to Kaya over here. But yeah, just a general lack of polish. Like, the characters talk, but their mouths don't move, or when they do move, they don't match up with the text. You know, the things they're actually saying. Yeah. Where have you been? Did you at least bring supplies? Could you not voice act us? And what's with the shoddy look on? Lost all your gear? Explain that you lost them while traveling back in time. From the future, that's so? Has the void finally driven you mad? You'll find some supplies behind me. Not much, but enough to keep you afloat till the outpost. The situation goes graver by the hour. Whatever lunacies come over you can wait. For now, at least play your part.
I trust you know the way to the outpost. Head to
Now.
the Eye of Insight nearby. Lest
Now
you
she
fancy
talks?
getting lost.
Right. I had a mastery point. In the bow. I do think it's kind of nice that each class has a slightly different leveling experience. Like, once you're at this point, you have different paths. You know, like, soldier did not do have this part, so that's kind of cool. And it goes to show that in that party at the beginning of the game, that those would eventually become like your mentors and people that would be very important now. So it would be kind of nice to have had that established a little bit better. Activate the Eye of Insight to witness the vast expanse of the world. Sword of Omens, give me sight beyond sight. Okay. That's cool. That wasn't in the soldier side. So what is this? Bound stone. And an inn. Okay. So, a mysterious woman named Velia saved your life by rewinding time of the powerful relic. Now you find yourself questioning whether you've truly returned to the past. Before vanishing, she uttered a cryptic message to the future stage. Find Velia in this timeline and deliver her message. Head to the closest outpost. Okay. So that's cool. It didn't show or reveal a map before. If I do have to give a kudos, something that I'm actually really happy to see, is that we have an MMO like this that the class and character creator is not gender locked and the girls don't run around in high heels. So thank you for that. So tired of seeing that in Korean MMOs. Also the fact that even though it's the beta, I have not seen anything about microtransactions or cash shops. That's very nice to see. Alright. So did I miss something earlier when I was on the soldier? Like, was I supposed to grab armor? I wonder. Oh wow, you can move around prone. Slide around prone too, apparently. Alright. Apparently you can just climb anything. Not see her. Oh, there she is.
The power of the Chrono shall guide you hence. Follow the trail of light to higher ground.
Eat your heart out, Pantheon.
Wield it. To quell the void.
Was it raining last time? The textures in the tower still haven't loaded. Alright. The rain has a cool effect. I need to go back this way. So I guess the other thing that I'm just kind of like about is everybody's human. So one thing I like about fantasy worlds is that you can have non-human characters that you can play as.
Heading to the settlement, are we? How about some company?
How about you go away?
I am Romek, humble pilgrim of Chronos. Though I may seem no more than a beggar, 'tis far from the truth.
Yeah, nobody cares.
Speaking of, that peculiar clock of yours. I knew it looked familiar. Its design is identical to the painted walls of the Temple of Chronos. If my memory serves true, 'twas Chronos himself who crafted that sacred relic. Fie. These cursed knees of mine. The settlement lies just ahead. A sacred monument known as the Bound Stone lies near the entrance. There we shall part ways. Now, where might I find a loaf of bread?
Yeah. Oh, hey. There we go. So, judging by that, it's not necessarily the biggest world. This may just be the little bit that they've shown us and not everything. Okay, you got random goblins just hanging around. That is a very low poly, low res dog. Chicken. Cool armor. Aha. Oh, because I used all the stuff I had. That's okay. That's an oops. Not an undercoverable one, but that's okay. Hey, training dummy. This. This content will be available at the official launch. Alright. Am I going the wrong way? I think it wants me to go that way. This music's a bit too epic for adventuring. I feel like this is the wrong music for this. Oh. Alright, where's this destination I'm supposed to go to? What is on the other side? What the heck, man? Is it like down in the valley? I bet you it is. Whoa, hey. Crossbow, I guess. I don't use one, but sure. Hi. Halt! This is a restricted area. By Captain whatever's orders, only members of the Vanguard may pass. My apologies to the Vanguard. Seems dangerous. Let's go in. Yeah.
Not another step. These rifts should not exist in this timeline.
Oh. Who goes there? This warp singularity is called the Chrono Gate, a chaotic rift in space-time made manifest. Fiends from another time have already infiltrated, vying to engulf the present. Those of idle curiosity have no place here. However, safe passage is nigh impossible with the temporal force field, yet you stand before me. Who are you? Is that so? Then you must be the Sentinel, Satara. Time reversal in the Shattered Chronotector, I see. They must have given rise to these Chrono Gates. However, my strength wanes. The burden now falls on you, Sentinel of Satara. Defeat the apostles within the gates and reclaim the fragments of your Chronotector affiliators. Once you've done that, find me at the Citadel. Touch the mark and you will see. Okay. Oh, hello. This could be cool. If it never loads. Come on. Do, 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 do. Alright, there we go. Okay. Wow. Bro, what? Get up! Yeah, I can't. There's no dodge roll or nothing. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna call it a night here. I'm too weak for this. Dude, the game doesn't look like this. Not really.
The Void Apostles. Even the bold falter before their fell might. Take the trail of light to the Citadel.
Alright, so apparently I was supposed to lose. This is better adventure music. This I can live with. This is good. This guy again.
May it be a steadfast beacon.
Well, that's cool. Yeah, this game's kind of jarring sometimes. That looked really neat. Almost like future-y compared to all this medieval looking stuff. Alright. Let's exit the game. So I'm kind of warming up to it. Like, so I'm kind of warming up to it. I feel like there's definitely needs to be more done. But Yeah. Oh. So this is an old build, apparently. Yeah. So this is an old version? That's weird. Why would you release an older version of the game? Doesn't make any sense. I'm sorry, I'm looking at the Chrono Odyssey subreddit. I mean, you can get a lot done in like 6-7 months. We weren't able to proceed with the test using the current development build. This is from the current CEO and founder. To prevent any major issues, we believe it's crucial to test only with a version that's as bug-free and stable as possible. That said, we're fully aligned with the current development direction and are working hard to enhance both quality and enjoyment. We've been receiving a lot of feedback from users, and we're actively improving areas that resonate with the community. Many successful games have gone through long periods of early access, refining and improving over time before their official launch. Taking inspiration from those cases, we're working to build the same level of understanding and commitment among our internal team as well. For the second closed beta test, our goal is to show clear progress with even more polished content and maximize fun. We hope you enjoy what's coming, and please continue to share your valuable feedback. So, yeah, I'm gonna have to be honest. I mean, if there's a lot of like if there's a lot of increases, like if the next beta test is better quality, sure. Um, but yeah, I think I've given pretty much all the feedback I want to give on it. I feel like the bones of the game are still good. The bones of the game are still good. It's a bit more new worldy than I would like. Um, you know, but I mean, it's not bad. It's just very janky. It just lacks that like Blizzard level of polish. And to be fair, somebody will be like, "Well, Blizzard's a AAA massive budget studio." It's like the money for this game is not small. Like you don't get the kind of quality cinematics and graphics engine and stuff and all that. Like you don't get all that without dumping some cash. And like, sorry, MMOs are expensive and hard to build. Yeah, you don't get a game like looks like this without money behind it. So yeah, um, gameplay tweaks and all that. I mean, that's a separate issue from the biggest first impressions. Um, but yeah, I hate to say it because like I rip on WoW a lot lately, but the last couple of years in particular. But one of the things that WoW gets right is that it's very easy to get into. Everything runs and works as perfectly smooth, and I mean, it's just a very smooth playing and polished experience. Any other gripes you could have about monetization and stuff like that aside, game design, those are separate from like just the technical aspects of the game. So anyways, all right. So that's Chrono Odyssey beta. I gotta get some sleep. I don't want to be up too late today. And besides, we have a 3.5 hour stream. I'd say that's pretty good. But yeah, we'll be back tomorrow. Probably more Chrono Odyssey. I want to be able to make the most of it. But now that I'm kind of knowing what to expect and everything, yeah. Sorry, yawning. Yeah, I hope that this is, if I'm reading that correctly, that, that this is a, 7-month-old build of the game. That explains a lot, because what they showed off at the presentation looked a lot more polished than what we got now. Like, there's such a jarring dissonance between the cinematics and how you're actually, like, what the game is actually like and how you're playing it. It just, yeah, the climbing, all the animations are just really crappy and jank. I'm gonna be honest, they're not very good animations. The character creator is a bit too, like, wide open. Like, it should be more restricted on, to kind of at least give some relative parity between the different body types. So you don't get weird, Popeye form, tiny head type of things, it's just dumb. Don't be having that. Not in a game where you're trying to be with a serious tone. Other than that, I mean, like, everything else is just MMO. I guess what's frustrating about it is, and I know this is a 7-month-old build, supposedly, so I'm gonna give it some leeway. We'll see what they've done since then, but, like, MMOs have been around in some form since the very late 90s. Even earlier, if you want to talk about, like, the MUDs and stuff, the multi-user dungeon games and stuff like that. But, like, let's say MMOs were Ultima Online and EverQuest. That type of stuff. So we've had a lot of, like, history with MMOs. A lot of different MMOs have come and gone, tried a lot of different things. You would think by now developers would be pretty in tune with, like, how to build a world. Like, my frustration with MMOs is that all of them spend way more time on things that just are strange to me. Like, they are video gamey as fuck before they're anything else. So, like, hear me out for a sec. So, like, when you are playing an MMO, to me, the most important aspect of an MMO, before anything else, before the questing, before the character creation, before any of that, is the fact that what is the most defining element of an MMO? So, like, this is like a pop quiz question right now to chat, to the viewers, the audience, anybody who's watching this in a future VOD. What is the most important thing of an MMO? Now, a lot of people will be like, well, it's the classes, it's the gameplay, it's the character bases, like that kind of stuff. It's like, no, it's not even the lore. It's the world needs to feel like a world. It needs to feel like a place, right? It needs to feel like when you go somewhere in the game, you feel like you're not in a game. You feel like you're traveling a world, right? Like, if you look at, like, Vanilla WoW endures because the design of Vanilla WoW is seamless. When you are traveling from one spot to another spot in the world, it feels like you're just traveling the world. Obviously it's a very small, truncated version of what the lore version of Norath is, where everything is way bigger. But you can make that trip from, like, say, Winter Spring all the way down to, So what's the desert? Sonaris. You know, so you can go from the top of the map all the way down to the bottom, and you get all of the journey with that. You get the various cities and towns that you might not be friendly in. You might have to learn how to avoid them. The patrolling monsters and other, and other faction NPCs. Areas where you're going to be too high level or too low level, and you're going to have to learn how to work around that. You start learning things like the terrain. How does it look? You start recognizing the landmarks. You start seeing certain NPCs and the patrols and pathing they take, the scripted stuff they do. You start remembering their names, because like they feel like there's just as much of the world as the world, right? And after a while, like you can kind of start, you don't have to pull up your map every 20 seconds because you kind of just know where everything is. Like you have almost an intimate, not sexual, obviously, but like you have also an almost intimate relationship with the world in the game. And then the lore just like builds on that. It helps cement everything. Why is everything here? What is it for? What does it mean? That's what the lore is for. When you're in, when you're in the Barrens, you're in Southern Barrens, you're traveling all the way down to Razorfen, Why is Razorfen there? Why is it all, overgrown, right? What's with the dwarf quarry? What's the point of that, right? Like, when you do the quest for the dwarf quarry, they would drop like pieces of paper, and it would explain like, oh, they were getting orders to look for some relics and artifacts. Okay, so like even though that's not what your quests were telling you to do, you're still getting lore just by doing the quest, right? When you're Stranglethorn Vale and you're collecting all the pages for Hemet Nessingwary, you would read the pages and it would kind of tell you more about stuff. But you would have little bits of fun stuff too. Like one of the things that would be a normal drop in WoW, romance novels. So you'd only get a page or two. It's not a full novel, but just a little goofy thing. You'd be doing a dungeon, and on the dungeon, one of the books that would be sitting on the table was readable. And it would give you a little bit lore about some random thing in the world. Sometimes not even related to the dungeon you're in anything. It just, the fall of the Dwarven Empire or whatever, right? Just that kind of stuff. Visual storytelling, where you could tell like, oh, wow, something happened here. There's interesting things going on. I wonder what that means. It's not just random ruins 101. It's, it's different, right? It means something. So that's the world, right? Like you start remembering things and where they go. In World of Warcraft, or not World of Warcraft, sorry, EverQuest, one of the trips that you learn to make is you learn how to go from Kinos, which is a city in the Karanas, all the way to Freeport, which is a city that is in the, it's been a while since I played EverQuest, but it's a very far away. You got to cross like 7 or 8 zones. You have to learn how to navigate Karanas, the Karanas are massive and relatively empty, but full of danger regardless. But you got to navigate through all that. High Pass Hold, Kithakor Keep, the Western Commonlands, Eastern Commonlands, Freeport, like all of that stuff. You got to like know how to navigate and avoid, especially if you're too low level for some spots. Kithakor Forest, when the sun goes down, the monsters become level 60 when they're normally like level 20. That kind of stuff. You learn it. You start realizing like where to go and how to get there. In a lot of ways, you didn't necessarily need a map for EverQuest, because the longer you played it, the more you realized, remembered where everything was and how to get there. Maps were helpful, of course, but you didn't need it for a lot of stuff. You didn't need it to learn how to get around. So yeah, and I guess that's something that like obviously, 2 hours of playing the game and goofing off and bitching about it aren't really gonna teach you about. But I will say that like while there is a lot of really cool visual landmarks I was looking at, I didn't necessarily feel like the world existed as a place. I just felt like I was getting dumped into something that had a lot of stuff just placed around it. Almost like somebody had set up a a set on a table. You know, the world doesn't necessarily feel like it's a world that people live in. It feels like a world where action figures are being placed to fight. You know, like it doesn't feel like the people of that world are living and breathing. You know, the world itself doesn't feel like people live in it. It just feels like a bunch of like window dressing. It's just all theater. You know, it's hard to describe it, but that's kind of what I mean. So yeah, I think there's a lot of potential, but I feel like if you're gonna sell me a game, you know, an MMO with relatively realistic graphics and a relatively realistic, you know, like serious story, I feel like there's just that's my criticism. These are the things that I'm kind of grumbling about. Everything else is secondary. How the classes feel, you know, when you play them. I mean, they don't necessarily feel the greatest. I feel like I whiff a lot of attacks because the monsters hop around like crazy. I don't feel like I can really dodge stuff, but like, I mean, that's all stuff that can be, you know, worked on. So, you know, one of the things with having Dark Souls-y New World style combat is like, it feels really great until you're missing a lot of whiffing and, you know, things like that. Tab targeting, I know a lot of people grumble about it because they want to have a game feel more like an action combat game. But there are valuable things with tab targeting, particularly in a PvE game, because honestly, monster AI isn't that great anyway. You know, so it's much better if you have the ability to just focus on your target, rather than kind of swing wildly and hope you hit something. You know, but that's, I guess, a question of, you know, matter of preference and game design. So, all right. I think I've gotten it all on my system. I had a lot of fun. I just, you know, I'm always having to get a reality check when I see something really cool in the gaming industry, and I'm like, oh, that looks awesome, and I want to play that. And then I start playing it, and I'm like, I kind of seen a lot of this before, and I'm not sure I like the way it's going, and yeah. But I see a lot of potential with this particular title. More so than a lot. Like, I don't... Like, Ashes of Creation looks cool, don't get me wrong, but like, so far nothing about Ashes of Creation has been like, whoa, like, the lore and the story of this are fascinating. Oh, wow, this world looks really cool and I want to explore it. You know, visually it's very pretty. You know, some of the races look like they could be kind of cool. Although I haven't seen the animal one yet, the monster animal hybrid ones. That I feel like they're kind of waiting to do. And obviously the classes aren't in yet either, but the classes they do have, I mean, they look okay. But Ashes feels more like a sandbox than a normal MMO. And that's not necessarily something that appeals to me. Pantheon, Rise of the Fallen is okay. I mean, it's definitely a lot like EverQuest for all, you know, good or bad. I feel like Pantheon has a lot of potential. I just feel that it's hobbled by, honestly, a lack of money. And I mean, you can have all the vision in the world, but if you don't have the money to keep building your game, I'm genuinely shocked that Pantheon has gotten as far as it has, and they're still working on it, and I'm awesome. You know, like, they've tried all these gimmicks to kind of drum up, you know, funding for the game, and you know, now that they've actually started to build the game that they said they were going to make, you know, people are more interested in it. But I just feel like maybe it's too little, too late. But who knows? You know, games like this tend to kind of surprise you. You know, it could be in like 3-4 years, there's just even more content out of the game, and people are like, oh, I guess this is kind of good. Let's see. Other MMOs in the market, I mean, obviously you got your Korean ones and stuff like that. But I feel like if you are somebody who really got into like EverQuest or World of Warcraft, but you're just not really keen on playing those titles anymore, I feel like there's really nothing in the market right now that will satisfy you. there's just nothing like WoW on the market. Even the WoW clones, they don't have what WoW provides. You know, that feeling of the game and that sense of presence in the world and stuff like that. Rift kind of did. I liked Rift a lot. Kind of bummed that Rift kind of went the way it did. WildStar could have been. WildStar just got a raw deal all around, though. And unfortunately, I don't think buying the game and rebooting it would do it any good. Yeah, Monsters and Memories. If you really like EverQuest, Monsters and Memories is basically just that. You know, so like there are some options, but none of them really just kind of really appeal to me very much right now. Chrono Odyssey appealed to me because I really liked the idea behind it. You know, the time stuff, okay, sure, but like the monsters, it's a fantasy story where the monsters aren't just the demon lord and his demons. You know, the monsters look like, you know, somebody crossed, you know, Prometheus with like eldritch horrors. You know, it just looks cool. You know, it looked like the alien could bust out at any moment, or the predator, or, you know, just all that kind of stuff. It just looks cool. It's very unique. You know, but, you know, I mean, that cool lore stuff aside, I mean, Pantheon has awesome lore, just it's not really well done. So, yeah. All right. I've yapped enough. I'm going to let you guys go. I had a lot of fun today, and I will catch you on the next one. Take care.